Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming to my talk. Thank you for coming to the SOC Summit. It's been some amazing people speaking today. They've just been awesome and nailing it out of the park. Today, I would like to talk to you about Sigma rules. Um, uh, think about this. Have you ever been reading a news article or listening to your favorite daily cyber news? When the story hits just a little close to home, the attackers are targeting the industry you work in. Luckily for you, the report does have some IOCs as well as some behavioral information. The problem is you need to translate those IOCs into your SIM language that you use at your company, and you got to do it fast. This can be a feat in and of itself, depending on how familiar you are with the language. Not to mention, you heard whispers that management might even be switching up your SIM platforms. So you will need to convert all of your detections over to the new language if this is true. It is really a nightmare scenario for any SOC. But what if you didn't have to choose? What if your detection logic was vendor blind? Today, we are going to look at Sigma rules, an easily assembled standard to help you scale your defense, share your knowledge, and finally bring some order to the chaos of our detection stacks. My name is Dan Rearden, as Jason said. Most of you know me as Haircut Fish. Currently, I am a SOC analyst at ProCircular, MSSP based out of Iowa. I've been with ProCircular for almost a year and a half now. I am also I am a husband to an amazing, awesome, supportive wife. I cannot say enough kind things about her. And I have three amazing kids that uh, keep me busy when I'm not protecting the world, as they like to call it. Previously, I've written an article in the Black Hill Survival Guide, Yellow Edition. Oh, thanks, Zoom. Uh, but I do have one that's actually out now. That if you filled out the QR that Deb shared, that's on soft skills, which is also what I'm speaking on next week. And then the last thing, I am a meme creator. I enjoy creating those of other cybersecurity professionals, my coworkers, my friends. I really enjoy it. It's a passion of mine, creation. So let's get into this. We got a little time and we got a lot to go over. So Sigma was created back in 2017 by a security professional named Florian Roth. In addition to creating Sigma, Roth is credited with creating multiple other security tools and countless detection rules in Sigma, Yara, and Snort. The goal behind Sigma was for a generic rule format that can be converted in a variety of query languages, making it technologically agnostic. Essentially, write once and deploy everywhere. It utilizes the YAML file format with its indentation and key value pairs, which makes it easy to not only read, but write. Since their creation, the Sigma community has contributed over 15,000 rules and rule modifications. We might all be working for different companies, but we all are trying to achieve the same goal, detecting and stopping malicious actors. So, I hope you guys brought a notepad. We're going to try and go over every single one of these different keys here and all the customization. So buckle up. We got a lot to go through. And I'm also seriously just kidding. We're gonna break this down easy for you. Sigma rules have three main components essentially: the metadata, the log source, and detection. We're going to start with metadata. This is different pieces of information usually found at the top of a Sigma rule. All the metadata key names are optional except for the title, though it is considered best practice to include the key names like the ID, which is a randomly generated UUID version 4, which we'll get into these later as well. Description, explanation of what the rule is, the author, which is who made it, the date that it was made, and level, which is the alert severity if triggered. The next component is log source, which the name kind of gives away what it is. It declares what type of log source this rule will apply to. There are four sub-key terms that can be used here. Category, which is all logs files regarding a logical group or event type. Product, all log files regarding a specific product. Service selects a more specific subset of those logs, and then definition, which is just explaining the log source even further and used more for readers and not necessarily for the detection. Looking at our example, we can see that this rule is looking at the Windows operating systems, which we can see from the product sub key term, and specifically process creation events, which we'll come back to again later. Sigma rules can be created for pretty much any operating system or data source, with several other values that can be used to apply to a variety of events or services. This selection is mandatory, or this section is mandatory to have in your Sigma rule, but the subsections are optional, meaning that you can swap out different subkey terms to cover the events or IOCs you are looking for. Now, finally, the last component is detection, which is much like the brain of the rule. This component will define the logic using search identifiers coupled with conditional operators to match on identified suspicious or malicious behavior. The search identifiers represent a parameter within defined log data. They could be a list of command line arguments, a specific file, hashes, etc. Let's look at this component a little bit closer to really understand how it is structured and it works. The detection component can get very complicated or be very simple depending on its use case. What's vital is understanding the principles of what makes up the core of the detection component. From there, you will be able to build upon that foundation to create amazing Sigma rules. Pictured here is the detection section for a Linux Sigma rule on copying the password or shadow file from the temp directory. Starting with selection, these are groups made up of separate detection parameters. The selection groups also help to both organize the detection while also making it more readable. A rule will have at least one selection group or selection style group. Also to note, the naming convention does not have to stick with selection underscore image or path. It's just best practices for both organization and readability. Next up, we have the keywords. These are the common terms used to describe what field the value will map to. Sticking with common field terms when creating a Sigma rule will better ensure that a rule will convert to multiple different SIEM query languages and have less errors. In addition to the keywords, modifiers can be used to further define the definitions. To use them, we first must use the pipe followed by our modifier. In our example, we can see that the image will end with CP, or the Linux file copy program, as well as the command line will contain the /tmp/directory. There are several modifiers that can be used, but unfortunately, there are way too many to go over here. The first two keywords from our example do have one value, while the final one only has two values as a bulleted list. These functions are called maps and lists, respectively. Maps will only have one value assigned to them, and when you have multiple maps, they will act like an AND operator. Lists are the bulleted lists that will act like an OR operator, meaning any of the values can be true. Though you can easily turn a list into a map by adding the all modifier to the end of the keyword. Using our sample detection, it would read as follows. The image will end with /cp or cp, and the command line will contain /tmp/ and the command line will contain either password or shadow. So our final field is condition. It is the part of the detection used to filter the selection groups. If multiple selections are used, conditions can be used to either state that the detection has to match all, only one, or none at all. In our sample detection, we can see the wildcard being used to match all the selections listed. For this detection to trigger, it must match all the selection groups. So as I mentioned prior, one of the purposes behind the creation of Sigma rules is that it's vendor agnostic, meaning that the same rule can be used with a large number of different SIEM options. I don't think it's relevant, or I think it's relevant to mention that Sigma rules do not work for all SIM solutions. One example is Sigma rules can't reliably be converted over to the Sentinel-1 query language. It's getting better, but I still find that I have to occasionally do some manual conversion myself. But the fact that the easy readability of Sigma rules is there makes it so much easier than having to try and figure it out on my own. It kind of gives a good structure and tells me what I need to be looking for. And Sigma rules can act as a de facto list of IOCs or TTPs that we can draw from to improve upon our detection capabilities as well as our understanding and knowledge. The great thing about Sigma rules is that they are open source and community driven. And according to the Sigma HQ GitHub repository, which Hayden actually shared out during his talk, there are currently over 3,000 detection rules. And then searching in GitHub just for Sigma rules results in over 716 different repositories. The goal is to not only help your detections, but your fellow cyber professionals as well. Now, I know I threw a lot at you, and instead of talking as much, let's get to making one. So, if you would like, you can go to my website there, or if you just go to haircutfish.com, it's going to be the first post. I have a scenario here. We're going to build out a Sigma rule using the scenario. Additionally, on the page is a Sigma rule template you can use to get started. Just copy and paste it into your favorite text editor, and we can begin. So, reading over the scenario, I'm going to do my best news anchor impersonation here. So, Arasaka Corp, a leading multinational entity, has confirmed it is investigating a targeted security breach within its accounting department. Digital forensic teams identified the Flaming Donkey threat group as the primary orchestrators behind the intrusions. The compromise originated from a single workstation assigned to an employee identified as Carl. Investigators believe the initial access was achieved through a deceptive social engineering campaign that bypassed traditional parameters defenses. Once the system was infected, the threat actor utilized native Windows utilities to establish persistence and prepare for data staging. So hopefully also with my voice, if this doesn't work out in security, I can just move right over as a news anchor. So we also have a list of IOCs and TTPs. On this, we can see some of the what they executed, which was cmd.exe using a hidden batch script. And then they created scheduled tasks as well using a malicious script. And then to evade defense, they renamed common tools and mimicked legitimate systems. So then our IOCs, we can see where that bat script was located in the app directory, which again harkens back to Hayden's talk. Process command line, which that's what we're going to use when we're creating our rule here. And then we have the network outbound connection, which is attempting to connect to port 4444. So most likely Metasploit. So as we attempt to create our first Sigma rule, just remember, we can make them as simple or as complex as we would like. The goal is to better understand what a Sigma rule is, how to create them, and to build upon those skills to create more of our own. Additionally, on the Sigma scenario page is a list of helpful links for rule creation and validation. So let's get typing. So when I started this, and as I said, we're going to look at the process creation for the command line. So I started it out. Title, you kind of want it to be descriptive, but there also is the description section. So Flaming Donkey file tempering. Then there's the UUID, which on the scenario page, there's a link to the random UUID generator. And then our description detects the command line execution used by Flaming Donkey. Then me as the author, and then the date. Then we are down to log source. So I'm watching Discord here. Does anybody want to take a shot at what the category would be? Category or product? If we go back to farm, anyone. Oh man. So if we're looking at this, we see command line. Oh, there we go. Now we're getting some. So let's see process creation, Microsoft. I don't know. Hey, it's fine. We're learning, and that's what the point is. So you are correct. Process underscore creation. Now, when you're doing the category, they don't have spaces. It's always, will always have an underscore. So in this case, yes, process creation. And so then also Windows. So good job. So next up, we're going to be looking at the detection section. I just named it payload. Again, you can name it however you will, but readability, you want to keep it very common. So we're going to look at the image. We know that they used cmd.exe, so we are basically stating that the image is going to end with cmd.exe. And then next up, we're going to look at the command line. And we have contains all. And here's that case where I said if you have a bulleted list, but you want to include all of them, so you don't have to put command line contains throughout it, you can do it this way. So anybody want to take a shot on what we should be putting in there? Go ahead and throw that in the Discord. Pwn.txt, that's a good one. The only thing I would say about that one is if it's something that they have been seen to do typically, to put it in there, but if it's something that can easily be changed, you don't want to. I will say I did. I see flaming donkey.exe, update.bash, echo, flaming underscore donkey, port 444. So we got some good ones here. So from our command line, we saw that it was /c, we had echo, we had flaming underscore donkey, and there is that pwn.txt. So they're all very good use cases in there for our detection. And then finally, since we only have one selection, it makes the condition section a little bit easier. So we just want to match on that condition. But next up is it formatted right? And will it actually get converted over? So that's where sigconverter.io is a GUI web interface that you can use. And as we can see here, I pasted the Sigma rule in, and I have it converting over to Splunk. And it automatically piped out the Splunk rule here. The other type of validation you can use is Sigma dash CLI, and it's on the command line. It's a lot of fun. It takes a little bit of setting up, but from there you can end up using it towards putting into a pipeline, but not going to get into that today. So we know our rule's valid. Now we can just take this Splunk query, copy it, and put it into the Splunk, or query it through Splunk and see if we get any hits. So with Sigma rules being vendor agnostic, it doesn't matter if you're hunting in Splunk, Sentinel-1, Defender, whatever. The same rules should be able to be converted into the SIEM solution you are using. But if it isn't easily converted, the standardized syntax and readability makes manual conversion a breeze. Lastly, the sheer amount of Sigma rules created and maintained by the community shows that this is not just another ordinary detection standard. It's a beacon for us to stop fighting our SIM tools and to start focusing on the adversaries at the walls. Let's go rule them all.
But first question from the audience, any luck converting Sigma rules to logarithm?
I have not tried. I've deal mostly with Sentinel-1, personally, and it's hit or miss on whether or not it will convert it. And so I would have to check, but I could get back on that one.
How long did it take you to hand paint all these slides?
Oh, that's what took me the longest.
Yeah, yeah, I was wondering. Dan, first of all, thanks for being a part of this community. Thanks for what you do. I did drop a link to your talk next week, the Antisyphon Anticast that you're doing. It's a 1 hour that Dan is doing next week. And if you did not sign up for it yet, if you would like to sign up for it, it is literally called How to Write SOC Tickets That Build Trust and Drive Action. So, uh, what's a 30-second preview of what you're going to talk about next week?
Okay. So what we will talk about is different ways to communicate to not only your fellow SOC members, but to clients as well as other members outside the SOC within your organization. You have to have a vast vocabulary of knowing how to talk to people and how to present technical information, both technically and non-technically. And so we're going to go over some of that, have some examples, and there should be some takeaways that you can start implementing that day.
Okay. Someone asked, can you touch on the pipeline concept high level, if possible?
Yes. So as I was finishing up like researching and preparing for the talk, you could end up taking, I believe it is Sigma CLI, um, and pipe the Sigma rules through that into your SIM. Uh, some do accept it. I'm trying to think which ones I saw do. I think Splunk is one of them. Um, and so you could take already created Sigma databases and have them converted over into detections into your SIM of choice, as long as it's able to do that. I think, yeah, Splunk's one. I think Elastic might be. But it was something that it would take a little bit more research into for me to become better equipped with that.
God. Hey, Dan, you're a nerd herder. What's a nerd herder in the anti-siphon like community?
Nerd herder is somebody that wants to help out their fellow person, much like Sigma Rules helps out the security community. So
Yeah.
you see that somebody's struggling with something, you're like, hey, I know that, and not in like a, hey, yeah, I know that. No, it's a very
Mhm.
helpful way. They're there
Yeah.
to help guide you, to help maybe explain something that you aren't fully understanding. Um, that's the way I see it.